Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the Nintendo Famicom system. Let's follow Fess, Maxine, and Booker and their pirate friend Layla as they continue to explore the basement of Castle Fynn in an attempt to find the White Mask. So we got a new enemy here, the Mantis. We're going to be running into a lot of them. Like I said, one of the properties of this dungeon is that on each floor there's a 98.2% chance of running into the same group of enemies, and then the other 1.8% chance is just basically running into those green souls, those souls that just cast cure on you. So it's nice when you run into them because they basically just heal your party, but don't expect to run into them. Like I said, there's only a 1.8 chance to run into them each floor. So yeah, you'll pretty much be fighting the same enemy groups on each floor. So this one will be running into a lot of these Mantis enemies. So, insect enemies weak against ice. So, I can one-shot them with Maxine's Blizzard spell. But we'll be trying to work off some of our other spells up. So, like Fess's Isuna. So we can, like I said, want to get that Isuna up eventually to level 8. Because coming up in the next dungeon, we're going to have a lot of enemies that use status effects. We also have a kind of a mini-boss here that can use some status effects, so I still want to try to gain some levels for it. That's why I also said you wanted to have a few of those status-removing items, including the mallet to get rid of the fog status that those brains can inflict on you from the previous floor, and then later on there's an enemy that can inflict stone. So that's what the gold needles are for. So a little mini boss. Luckily these mantises don't really do anything, so we're lucky there. We got an easy floor here, so rank 5 monster, so get some decent skills out of them. So all these dungeons, that's a unique thing about this game, I guess. All the dungeons are basically like squares, so there's less variety in dungeon layouts and how they kind of look than Final Fantasy 1. Everything's kind of blocky in this game, so I wonder why they went with that design choice. Who knows, but I guess it's better than the dungeons in Final Fantasy 13. The biggest complaint about that was everything's just basically a straight line. That was when they leaked the first maps of that game. Everything was just like a big straight line. People basically say it's a hallway simulator until you get to an open world portion. And then after that you return to the straight lines again, the hallway simulator. I think a lot of people said it was. But we're walking through some hallways here, but at least there's twists and turns and traps and stuff, so it keeps it interesting. So, flame shield. So that could be it's not an upgrade to the shield. All the elemental shields, gold, ice, flame, and the diamond, they all have the same 7% to your evasion. The only thing different about them is the element that they protect against. So flame against ice, ice against fire, gold against poison, diamond against lightning. So you can just, to an extent, you can have different shields in your inventory, so you can switch them out if an enemy uses a certain spell or something, but we're instead using our extra item slots for stuff like ethers, mainly, which Fess just used one of, so yeah, he's been, I want to say, wasting his MP, but he's not really wasting them. He's just casting that spell over and over again to level it up, so it's not technically a waste. I guess you could say it's a waste of a turn because he's not doing anything to defeat enemies, but it's not wasting because in the end it'll eventually pay off Fess taking another hit there. Like I said, the interesting thing, last episode I said, the interesting thing is Fess currently has more hit points than Booker. So that's probably because Booker has such good evasion that he's evading a lot of the physical attacks that enemies are throwing at him. So he's not getting hit as much, which means that he's not gaining as much hit points. Spider Stoke slows enemies down, reduces, I think, the amount of hits they do, where Haste, the opposite, increases the amount of hits that you can do. I think they both like -1, or like affect you by 1. So I think Spider Stoke reduces the amount of hits a person can give, or an enemy can give by 1, and Haste adds an extra hit. So we can work on the Blizzard spell here. Like I say, we want to try to get everything. Before we go to the Massidia Tower, which is the big elemental tower. There's floors of all different elements in that one. We want to try to get all our spells up to level 6, all the elemental spells. So I think Fire's already there, and Blizzard getting there pretty close. So. New floor, which means new groups of enemies. What are we going to run into on this floor? I think this is the Ogre Turtle Stalagmite floor. Yep, we can run into Ogre Chief Stalagmites and those Ogre Mages and the Adamantite Turtles. So basically, ranks 3 through 5, basically, depending on what you get. The Chiefs, I think, are 3, the Ogre Mages are 3, well, the Chiefs are 4, Ogre Mages are 3, Stalagmites 4, and the Adamantite Turtles are 5. So, run into a large selection. Like I said, depends on those 4 enemies. They can come in different packs. So, those Ogre Chiefs are good if they're dropping like wing swords. Speaking of swords, we got another sword here, the Blood Sword. The Blood Sword has 0 attack, but what it does is it has a drain effect. Every time you hit an enemy, it drains 1/16 of that enemy's max hit points and gives it back to you. So it's a way to really cheese the really strong bosses, because it doesn't matter how much damage you do, every hit is doing 16 hits. So say, for instance, like Booker, say he had a sword skill of 8. If he hadn't hacked an enemy and all 8 of his hits landed, he would defeat the boss enemy, no matter how many hit points he has, in 2 attacks, because 16 hits, and each hit drains 1/16 of the enemy's max hit points. So yeah, it's kind of a broken sword. The only thing is you can't use it on undead enemies, like these specters here, or any other undead, because what happens is it reverses the effect. So it's a good way to hurt yourself. The same, that's the same with other drain type stuff. Like we get that Osmo spell I've been talking about a lot that does the same with MP, that drains MP rather than HP. I can't use that on undead. And there's another spell called Drain, which drains a character's hit points and gives it to your character or the caster. That can't be used on undead. So, but other than that, there's very few undead bosses in the game. So overall, that sword is pretty broken. It's so broken that when they remade this game, there's only one blood sword in the remakes. This sword is replaced with something else. I'm not sure what, because I haven't played the remakes, but I've heard of them. You get a second blood sword later on. That one is still in the game, but yeah, they figured, because like I said, usually by the end game, your weapon level's around 8 through 10, depending on, like Booker should probably be like around rank 10 with his weapons. Fess might be, rank 8, rank 9, depends on how much he uses his weapons versus how much he uses white magic. So if you have 2 of those blood swords equipped, you know, you can take out the final boss in basically 1 round. Because one person will attack with rank 10, other with, you know, rank 8, 9, and if, you know, 8 hits from each of them go through, then, you know, they're done. Even, you know, even if, say, the guy with the 10 gets 9 hits and the other one gets 7, so they miss one of their attacks, you're still hitting 16 times, so it's a way to basically ruin all challenge of future bosses, so yeah, there's a lot of people complain about the difficulty of this game, and it kind of is, you know, if you don't know the system, you don't know how the leveling works, you don't know how, you know, the importance of, you know, raising your evasion and stuff like that, but once you really know the system and little exploits, the game is really easy to cheese, so basically run around without armor to raise your evasion, and then enemies won't be able to hit you, and exploit elemental weaknesses. So, and that really gets cheesy when if you take into account like instant death type spells. You know, you have the different ones. You have your body, your death, your mind, and I was saying about elemental weaknesses. One of the things with elemental weaknesses is if an enemy has an elemental weakness, you're guaranteed to hit them. So like if you have a weak enemy that's weak against fire, and you cast a fire spell on them, all castings of fire are going to get through and hit. So if you have an enemy that's weak against body, and then you use a body-based element, instant death spell, it's going to hit, and the enemy's going to die. So you can even cheese endgame bosses with instant death type spells. So like there's a lot of them. There's like Toad, Mini, Exit, Life for Undead, and then there's also another bug that the speedrun uses. There's the wall spell, and basically if you cast wall on an enemy and then use an instant death spell on them, some kind of bug, it automatically goes through. So you don't even have to raise spell levels up. You don't even have to use those spells because you can get books and use the book in battle as like an item, and it basically will cast the spell at a certain level. So like you can, you know, buy books and basically use them as like one-shot spells. But so you can use that, so you wouldn't have to worry about leveling up stuff like, you know, the wall and the instant death spells to be more effective. Because going through like a normal playthrough, you'd be leveling those things up to increase their accuracy. Because the problem with most instant death spells is they have really low accuracy. They basically their accuracy is only affected by your stat, whether it's spirit or intelligence, depending on which type of instant death spell. Toad, I know, is different. Toad has a 40% accuracy, so that's the best instant death spell. I don't know what the other ones are right offhand, but I knew the Toad was 40, so that's the most popular one to use. Yeah, once you, unlike your characters, if they get turned into a Toad during battle, I mean, you can still fight in battle, but the enemy, you turn them into a Toad or mini them, they just retreat and you win the battle. So, but yeah, they don't. Enemies do not stand and fight when they are status affected by one of those spells. That's weird. Boko did not manage to finish off that stalagmite. Usually does pretty good. So, and when that total there was the boss of the snow cavern, poorly chosen place to live because he's weak against cold. We can just see how good elemental weaknesses are there with Layla. She's able to penetrate that defense with that ice bow of hers. So, second best bow in the game, the ice bow, at least in terms of damage, strength-wise. There's one more only one more extra bow after this, so... Yeah, get used to seeing the ice and the flame bow. Like I said, they're a little bit weak compared to like some other higher tier weapons, like spears and swords and axes, but a lot of the weaknesses, I guess, is made up for with elemental properties. So, hit something with the ice bow, you're getting 20, it's weak against ice, you're getting 20 extra attacks. Same with the flame. Spears are pretty good with a bunch of elemental stuff, but stuff like the axes usually don't, and the staves. So, let's grab a Betrayal Frame. That crafts Confuse on enemies. Not really using any of them. And here we finally are on the last floor of the dungeon, thankfully. So yeah, this dungeon's getting it's definitely overstaying its welcome. So that's a bunch of stalagmites here. This is the only floor where we're going to have to enter a door, and there are quite a few doors to enter. Well, there's a few doors to enter, but only one of them will take us to the White Mask. Other ones lead the trap rooms. Don't worry, that's why I'm here, to tell you which one to enter. It's the second from the right. So, spoiler. But more importantly here, we have that enemy that I hinted at, a new enemy that can turn us into stone. And why it was important to bring those gold needles around. Finish off the stalagmite there. And we're gonna get another. The monster is not a random encounter. It's gonna be guarding a treasure chest. So if you don't have any of the golden needles to remove the stone status, and you're afraid, you don't want to necessarily risk getting all petrified, you can skip the treasure chest and come back later. So, but just for efficiency's sake, I am just getting it now. I have the stuff that I need to heal up. So, and as soon as at a high enough level that outside of battle I can remove the stone status. So. Let's walk through the water here, get our boots wet, get our paws wet. And more stalagmites. Figure that odd that you find them in a dungeon, and stalagmites and stalactites, they're in caves. And this is like a man-made dungeon. So you can see with all the bricks and stuff. But I guess I can't complain because we ran into stalactites in the open world out by Deist. So, once again, like I said, video games, they don't necessarily have to be real. They just have to be fun. And for all the hate this game gets, I think it is pretty fun. So, I waffle between this and 1 is my favorite NES Final Fantasy. But I think they all have their... I think, though, this one is probably a stronger candidate. I think I'd rate them, 2, 1, 3. But none of them are bad games. They're all enjoyable in their own little right. So... And we got the little Calcum knife. It's like a special, legendary medal of the gods. I forget which mythology it is, though, that uses that. But yeah, guarded by these Rios enemies, they can use a petrifying breath on you. They also have a few other spells. I think like a Blaze 7, kind of like the, or Cremate, I forget which, but kind of like the Chimeras, which are the weaker version of them. So this is the updated sprite of them. So, but that knife is really good. It's a stronger knife, obviously. But we're just going to keep using the sword that Fess has to keep building his sword rank, because eventually he's going to, his endgame equipment will be the Masmune sword. So, I'm going to keep building that sword rank up. And his knife will just come naturally. You know, he'll have the gauche knife there as his offhand weapon. Because that's such a low penalty. So, like I said, because that's a lower rank level, it's eventually catching up to his sword. I think it might only be one below. Booker hit level 7 and sword and shields. So, and yep, Fess is close to hitting level 5 with his knives. So, even though he started working on knives much later than the thing, they've already surpassed his shield rank, and they're getting close to, like I said, the sword rank. Because he gets more experience with them in battles. You know, he'll get experience at with one hit against a level 5 in a level 5 battle with knives because they're level 4, where he won't get that experience with the sword until he does a second attack. So eventually things will catch up. So I think I mentioned it in a previous video, but I'll just touch on it here because there's not much else to talk about. When you gain like a stat increase, like with your swords, like your sword and your shield, it doesn't really take effect until like the next, battle. Same with like agility and stuff like that. So what you can do is like to skip that, you can de-equip like your sword and shield and then re-equip them, and that'll like put the bonus right on. But that's just a lot of work to do after, each stat gain and stuff, so I just, it doesn't hurt for me it doesn't matter. Then I'm gonna have to wait a second battle, so, like, Booker ain't getting that evasion bonus for his extra shield level in this battle, but I'll get it in the next, so. Yeah, it's another buggy thing about the game, but it doesn't mess much, doesn't affect too much. Like I said, we were surviving with a rank 6 shield, so one more battle with a rank 6, shield evasion ain't gonna hurt us, so just saves some time. I mean, I'm already, this playthrough's already kind of, gonna be long enough because I'm not cutting out any battles like I did with, Final Fantasy 1. Because I just want to show that you don't have to, cheese. I don't want anyone saying that, oh, look, he's cheesing the game because he cut out a battle. He might have been attacking his own party members or doing the select cancel glitch. But so hey, we got lucky there. There's absolutely no boss in this dungeon, so I could have saved right there as soon as you enter the castle, but for some reason it's my OCD says like you never save on a building. It's just a weird thing of mine. So I took one step and look at that, I run into an extra battle against hornets. So I guess they can be considered the boss. The final battle in this little episode, so. But yeah, good thing unlike the Black Mask, we don't have to fight a boss. So that is swell. So, but what we do have to do is sell off a whole bunch of that stuff in our inventory. Yeah, you see the inventory is crowded. So we're going to sell all that stuff off, and then we're going to make our way down to Macity in the next episode. Hope to see you then. Take care. Bye.